Once again, thank you for coming tonight. Very good showing. We have quite a few of our chairs filled, not very many empty, so thank you for coming. Most of the talking tonight is going to be done by the coaches, obviously, but I did want to, first of all, thank Cheryl Wolk and the kitchen staff for that fantastic meal, so how about a round of applause for them? They never disappointed any of the banquets. And also I'd like to thank our sports boosters, specifically the officers who sponsor the banquet and who put in timeless hours and concession stands and things like that, but not only the officers, but just the members, the parents who have helped them out, because there's only 4 officers and there's no way they could do all the concessions themselves, and it's the parents that help them out, and it's volunteer for everybody. So I'd like to thank all the sports boosters, especially the officers tonight, so a big round of applause for them as well. Okay, we're going to start with an introduction of our coaches. We'll start at my right here at the end and make our way down. First of all, we've got freshman volleyball coach Jess Hess. So, we've got our JV volleyball coach Crystal Kester. It's hard not to call her Jessica Hessica. Coach Drum is our man to the left there, our head volleyball coach. To his left is our volunteer, and I like to say volunteer because it's exactly what it is, no pay and lots of time that he completely volunteers to do all on his own, and that is Coach John Boyd. Next guy is actually our middle school coach, but because it's a smaller program, they actually just kind of do it all together, and that is Coach Chris Warner. To his left is our head cross-country coach, Mr. Brian Jett. And over to my left here, we've got head softball coach, Dennis Kreitler. Another one of our volunteer coaches volunteering for softball this year, also with 0 pay, but just a pat on the back, Coach Dustin Keeker. And our JV softball coach at the end there, and that is Coach Mike McDaniel. We'll start out with volleyball. I believe Coach Hess will talk first, then Coach Kester can come up directly after her. Coach Drummond, then I will come up after that to move on to cross country. So you 3, and then I'll come back up.
All right, good evening. The freshman volleyball team has had a very successful season with a record of 13-2, only to losing to Farmington twice. Both losses were to Farmington. However, the second time we played them, we improved by taking them to 3 sets, which was awesome. Too bad we didn't get them, but we'll get them next year. All right. We also received second in our first annual volleyball tournament that we hosted here at St. John. These young ladies have worked very hard all season and throughout the summer and through the winter playing winter ball. Our players included, I'm going to call you ladies up now. First up, Madison Reynolds. She played a little bit of everywhere, hitting outside, middle, and also playing defense. Come on up. You're not on Price is Right, but you can come on up. Next, we have Sam Bumgarner, was a setter. Morgan Doza, defensive and outside. Briley Hook, middle, outside, and defense. Addie Siegel, she set and played right side for us. Emma Meyer, set and right side. Vivian Vaughn was an outside hitter. Tatum Geck played a little bit of everywhere and especially stepped into set and played outside, right side, and defense. Played every spot on the court. Becca Fowler played defense and middle. Courtney Brittany Dunsey played middle. Sam Bowman played middle and defense. And Darren Brown set in defense. Did I get it? I wish the best for these girls throughout their high school career, and I can't wait to see these young ladies develop as volleyball players. Thank you. I think I got everybody.
Good job, girls. Nice.
Madison and Sam, don't go too far, because I have your stuff. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the girls first, and then I'm going to talk about them a little bit here first. I have Hannah Giesler, Natalie Engel. These two were elected by their team as captains, and I can brag a little bit about them. I had both of these girls when they were 10 and 11 years old, and I have this really cool picture to prove it. Natalie has these cute little pigtails, and Hannah, you weren't the shortest person on the team. All right, we also had Tess Bowman, Camry Gettinger, Jessica Schweiss, Michaela Meyer, Bailey Smith, Rachel Lalamandir, Abby Umfleet, Sam Bumgardner, and Madison Reynolds. We had a record of 12-7-1 this year, and it should have been a lot better. They'll both all agree with us. We had a lot of close games that we knew we should have won. It was that mental toughness that we decided we needed to get better at. From the summer, our key word for the whole season was scrappy, and it's because, as you can see, we're not very tall, and we knew that if we were going to win games, we just had to out-hustle and outwork every team that we faced. As the year went on, though, we turned that scrappiness into a fierceness, and that's something that we wanted them to learn as they get older too. One of our highlights of the year was when we played Cape Notre Dame. We played them twice. First time in the Cape Notre Dame tournament. They have this very large girl. She's a dynamite player. And when the girls saw her, she's hitting the ball on the 10-foot line, and their eyes got as big as saucers, and they were done. They let her win the game. So the second time we played them, we made it that was our goal. We're not going to let her own the court, and we're not going to let her win this. We did end up losing, but it was 25-23 and 25-20, and much better, and she didn't. We took her out of her game, we took her out of her element, and we learned that, you know what, we may be small, but we're pretty mighty and powerful there too. They are very, very hard workers, and I've talked to them a lot about how good they're going to be next year, and the mental toughness they're going to have to carry on into varsity, so I'm very excited to see them grow. But they wouldn't be this good and as talented and have this passion for the love if not for all the parents. You guys have spent hours and hours in gyms taking them to practices in the winter, and we appreciate it as coaches, and they appreciate it too. So thank you so much to them. Thank you to Coach Hess for sharing the court all year with us and being patient with us and sharing some of your interesting stories every day. And I think on behalf of all the girls, they'd also like to thank Coach Drum. He's taught us a lot about the game of volleyball, and not just volleyball, but in life itself. And for that, I will say, are going to be eternally grateful for. So thank you.
Okay, I'd like to start off by thanking some people that helped make the program a successful program. First of all, the local media, KBDZ, the Sun-Times, the Herald, Frank Kirschmer and his prep cast. They do a good job of covering our games, and that's always important. Parents and kids and everyone alike likes to keep track of what's going on, and they do a good job. The administration, Mr. Haney and Mr. Mercer, who help supervise games, keep the kids in order, but yet let them have as much fun as possible. They do a great job. I would especially like to thank Mr. Nix, who makes my job a lot easier than what it would be without having an AD who really gives everything he's got every day, and he does do a good job at that. I really appreciate what he does. He makes my job easy and enjoyable. The kids who sing at the national anthem at home games, it's much better than having the CD stuck in and playing it, so it's always nice to have your home kids singing for you and taking care of that. Regina McDaniel, Kelly Sikowski, Lindsey Drum, Josh Banks, Kyle Swice, Mike McDaniel. These are the folks who run the table, keep the scorebook, run the scoreboard. They call lines. They're like officials on the floor. We're the only school in the conference and pretty much in the area that have adults do that. I feel that's real important, and we can always count on those people to call those lines for us. Of course, the Booster Club, who puts these banquets on, make it possible to have these banquets. They do a great job. They also are there for you when you need something as a coach. They will always try to do what they can to provide those things for you. We have a great support system in the Booster Club. Cheerleaders for their support. Our fans, I would say this school district has, especially the student body, as good a fans as anybody in the area. Anywhere we go, we have our fans follow us, and more often than not, we have more kids there, more parents there, more supporters there than the home team. And especially when they come to our place, it's really a great place to play. So to the kids and the fans and the parents, I really do thank you. Then the last couple here, excuse me, my coaching staff, of course. It's pretty hard to put up with me every day on a day-to-day basis after school, and these two do it, and they do it without a lot of complaints. I won't say with no complaints, but I know they have my back, and as a head coach, that's very, very important to know that your assistants are there for you, and they are there every day. The parents, again, without you guys, but not only do you come to games, you keep our winter program going, you keep your kids to practice, you get them home. Without the parents, you don't have the kids, and you don't have a program, so the parents get a special thank you too. And then finally, my wife and family, they pretty much, I have two daughters, and of course my wife, and whenever I have troubles, Linda has always been able to help me in the regards of how to deal with the female athlete. And that's very important. I've done this for 30 plus years, and she may not always know a lot about what I need to do on the volleyball court to get kids ready, but if I have a question is why is this happening, she's led me through this for 32 years, and for that I love you and thanks. So basically I'll give you a little quick synapse of our program and what happened this year, and then we'll get the kids up here and move on. We start out in the winter, actually early spring, with our conditioning program. Coach Hess kind of sets that up and takes care of it. And we lift all spring, then we go into the summer, and now that the state has allowed us more time, coaching is much more demanding than it was 30 plus years ago when I got into it, where you got to be with your kids maybe 2 weeks during the summer. Now you almost have to be with them year round, and that's just the way it is to compete. So we get started in the spring with weight training. In the summer we go to Arnold, Jackson, Perryville, and the Lake of the Ozarks. I always request when we go to those places that we play the better teams, or as many good teams as we can. Gives you a real good indication of where you're at that particular time, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and you can kind of start building on that during the summer. We had pretty good camps everywhere we went. We got better all summer long. And as the summer went on, I kind of had a feeling this was going to be a pretty special group. We're going to have a pretty special season. You take that dead week off in August, and sometimes that really comes at a bad time because you really wish you could just kind of keep that momentum going. But the state doesn't allow that, so you take that week off. We roll into the 3-week preseason. It's a little lengthy, I think, when you do so much all summer long. 3 weeks of practice without playing another team gets pretty lengthy. But we got through that, and I still was pretty positive this is going to be a pretty good group. They're going to be pretty special. We went down to Notre Dame. We took first place in the silver bracket, which isn't as good as gold, but we played well. We were moving along pretty good. And then kind of a early season, mid-season lull. We'd win some games, we'd lose some sets, lose some games. Went 3 a lot and couldn't figure out a way to win that 3rd set to bring home the victory. So we were kind of winning 1, losing 1, win 2, lose 2, and we just were not quite getting where I thought we would be at that time. In fact, after we went to Farmington and got beat, next week we went out to North County and got beat. We were 11-10-2, and we had other things going on, as the whole school and community did, that we had to fight through. So it just didn't feel right. It just felt like the season was kind of slipping away and not going in the direction that I'm sure the girls wanted to go, and I know I didn't. We sat down one day in the gym and we talked. They talked, then I talked, and we kind of recommitted ourselves to getting back on track, reaching what goals we had left in front of us, and doing our best to get those. And luckily, you know, at that time we were, like I said, 11-10-3. We finished the season 8-1-1. Now, of course, we didn't win our district, but to finish that strong compared to where we were at the day we sat in the gym and went over things was very fulfilling for me, and hopefully for them too. We in that streak, we beat Valley, we beat Park Hills, who won our conference. We had no chance to win the conference because we lost those 2 earlier games to Farmington and North County. So we finished really strong. We played really well, and that's kind of a lot of that had to do. We played a lot of games at the end of the year at home, and that goes back to what I talked about earlier. It was just so much fun to play in our gym with all our fans there and all the parents and everybody who comes and watches us and all the excitement. It was just a lot easier to be energized. We also went into the conference tournament, and we won 3 games, didn't lose at all. We tied one with Farmington, which kept us from going to the gold division. But when you go 3-0-1 in the tournament, you win the silver division. You can't be too disappointed with that. So I guess, long story short, it was probably longer than some of you wanted to hear. We finished the season 19-11-3. We finished on a very positive note, and the kids were really just a great bunch to be around. And I say that every year. And the main thing is, you know, I really do mean it. Every year, working in this community, excuse me. Yeah. Thank you. Working in this community has really been an honor for me, and I've been very lucky. So let's move on to something else. Let's get the kids up here. My managers first. I don't know that they were here or not. I don't think I've seen. Oh, there they are. Come on up and get your certificate. Nicole Bowman, Bethany Beckett, Alex Newman, Abby Stotzer, and Selena Kreitler. So these girls were my managers this year. They do all our filming and taking care of equipment and stuff. They do a real good job. No program can be real successful without good managers, and we've got some of the best. In fact, football tries to steal them every year, but they stay loyal and true to us. So our sophomores, Emma Bosler, Riley Meyer. Okay, juniors, Lacey Berger, Whitney Burr, Katie Palmer, Jessica Probst, Mariah Mo Ritter, Caitlin Sikowski, and Kendall Sikowski. Then my seniors, pretty special group. Two captains this year were Chrissy Armbruster, Claire Bosler, Allie Giesler, Monica Enman, and J.C. Kornak. And these are the girls who made up our varsity squad and our managers. An outstanding group. I told myself I wasn't going to get emotional. That didn't happen, but oh well. So these gals, a lot of them are coming back. They have bright futures as far as Hunter volleyball goes. The seniors that are leaving us were a great bunch. Hopefully you juniors and sophomores and freshmen paid attention to what they were doing day in and day out in the gym, during the summer, on the bus, freshmen on the bus, and how to act and behave and play, because they set a really, really good example, and they will be missed. The rest of you, you have a bright future. It's going to be a great season next year. I trust that you'll take care of that. Before you sit down, let's go ahead and get our award winners out for the season. Our team leader in, excuse me, in digs was Monica Anman. She had 434. Team leader in service points was Whitney Burr with 198. Most assists, Allie Giesler with 263. Best serve reception percentage at 89.8, Monica Inman. And she did that while receiving 556 serves on the year. That's a new school record. Most kills, Emma Bosler with 278. Most blocks.
It looks like Coach Hess is ready to go, so if Coach Kester could shut the lights down. Coach Hess took quite a bit of time doing some research and putting this video together. You know, it was her idea. She did all the work. I just told her yes and helped her get set up for it. So, Coach Drum, I would apologize, but I really don't care what you think at this point. Just sit back and watch the video. say something?
Thanks.
What a good coach, what a good friend, and overall, what a great man. Thank you, Coach Drum, for everything you've done. Okay, and we are going to move on to cross country at this point. I believe Coach Jett gets the honors of doing all the talking, and Coach Boyd and Coach Warner are just going to sit there and look pretty tonight. But first of all, let me be the first to publicly congratulate you on another state championship for our girls cross country team.
Thank you. Coach Nick said I was supposed to say something tonight. I didn't prepare much. I'm going to try a little different format tonight. I'm just going to talk about our season. I didn't write any of it down. And we can have a question and answer session if you like. Have any questions to start with? Well, that was easy. So, raise your hands. Louder? Okay. All right. Why am I still nervous doing this? All right, thank you. That's what we usually start with. I'd like to thank the All Sports Boosters. Great meal. Thank the administration. I'd like to get a big round of applause for Mr. Nix. He does an outstanding job for us. He's more than a boss. I'd like to thank Mrs. Newman. She gave us a pretty nice care package, Ben, for our trip up to the state meet. I'd like to thank Mid-America Rehab. They do a real good job keeping our kids patched up, specifically Enriqueta. I'd like to thank Ryan Tischer, who's helped out with a couple of the kids. I'd like to thank the parents. Without parents, we wouldn't have these great kids to work with. I think you understand my expectations, and at least you're willing to tolerate them. It's nice to see your faces every Saturday at the meets, and again, you raise great kids, and that makes our job that much easier. I'd like to thank the kids. They buy into what I sell. It's a lot easier to do this when they believe in what I'm doing, and without them, I wouldn't have a job. I'd like to thank Coach Warner and Coach Boyd. As I get older, the duties that fall on these two gets bigger, and I think I'm pretty easy to get along with. I don't know that they have to tolerate me. Although, Coach Warner did indicate that there's a lot of talking behind my back. So, maybe I'm not that easy to get along with. Hey, it's just my way or the highway, Jack. They do an outstanding job. You know, they're with the kids sometimes more than I am. Sunday morning runs. I'm getting my beauty rest on Sunday mornings, or I'm up here doing paperwork. I'd like to thank the Herald. Mike Boyd did a pretty good job covering us this year. I would be remiss if I didn't thank my wife. Thanks for the tip there, Coach Drum. I could bounce things off my wife about dealing with the opposite.
Oh, yeah, I get lost.
All right. I need to write that down. So, I should talk about the season now. Anybody have any questions before I get on to the season? Pretty much our season starts the day after the state track meet. As Coach Drum indicated, athletics today is pretty much a year-round thing, and that's no exception with distance running. It may be the worst for that. If you want to be able to compete, you have to be getting after it pretty much daily. So they were getting after it from the day after the state track meet. We had a pretty good spring, and they put a pretty good summer in. Highlights of the summer, probably the Joe Bill Dixon Wilderness Running Camp. They stay in tents on the North Fork of the White River. Running water is the river. It's wilderness, and to get out of the camp, it's a mile uphill either direction. So they're in a valley, and they do a lot of running, and they do some team bonding stuff, and they always come back different people. It does change their life. Joe Bill Dixon is probably the winningest coach in state history in terms of distance running, and when he talks, people listen. They end the camp running a half marathon, very scenic, very tough half marathon, and they feel pretty good about themselves when they come back. This summer we had a week in between that and our team camp, and we set some team goals, a little more difficult to do on the boys' side because we lost a number of upperclassmen last year, and so we were pretty young. But the girls, we had the nucleus coming back, and they set some team goals, and before you knew it, the dead period was over, and we were starting the season. This particular year, we did things a little bit different. We ran our first meet of the season at the Jefferson Barracks Park, and we had the opportunity to race there 3 different times this season. For some of the runners, they started the season there, and they ended the season there. Our district meet was held at Jefferson Barracks as well, so kind of a home course for us this year. We also had the opportunity to race on the state course prior to the state meet, which is the first time in state history that was an option. And the administration and Mr. Nix were gracious enough to allow us a day off school. We headed up there, and we were able to compete. Jury's still out whether that was an advantage or not, but I feel like if they're going to host a meet on the state course, we're going to race there if we can. The boys, pretty young, led by senior Andrew Moore. They wound up with a 3rd place finish at the conference meet, and we've got a bunch of freshmen on board, so I'm pretty proud of that accomplishment. They were 4th at districts in what's arguably the toughest district in the state, and I say that because the top 2 boy teams in the state were Festus and Potosi, not in that order. They give out 25 all-state medals in Class 3, and there's 8 districts. We're district number 1, and district number 1 came back with 10 of those 25 medals. So some pretty dang good runners in this area. So for us to be able to pull off a 4th place district finish and a 3rd place conference finish, pretty proud of the boys. On the girls' side, District 1 is no easier. But let me start with the season for them. They pretty much wanted a repeat. That was one of the goals. They actually is hanging up in my classroom. We went to a big meet early, Forest Park Cross Country Festival, and we competed against the biggest schools in the state and other states for that matter, and we were able to come away with a win. And that kind of got the ball rolling for us. Went undefeated the entire season. We raced a pretty good Festus squad at districts, and they gave us a better race than I had anticipated. Kind of looked past that. We knew they were probably the 2nd best team in the state. And they gave us a good race. We went into the state meet, I think confident, but cautiously optimistic. We weren't looking past Festus anymore, and the gun went off, and things played out the way that we hoped they would have. It wasn't nearly as easy as that. I made that sound. We don't have that many bodies, so keeping everybody healthy is always one of the biggest challenges for us. Luckily, we do have Mid-America here. We got Coach Hess here that helps out, and we've become more knowledgeable as coaches on what we can do to fix people up. But that is a big challenge. You know, if an illness would have came in, I know Maya's suffering from a sinus infection right now, had that reared its ugly head a day earlier, or Mallory wasn't 100% yesterday. If that would have happened a day earlier, the outcome would likely have been different. So I guess I'm making it sound like the season was pretty easy, but there were a lot of challenges, you know. We had some emotional challenges, and we had some physical setbacks, and it was pretty stressful. I think for the kids, you know, there's some running websites out there, Missouri Mile Split, and they touted us as the #1 team pretty early in the season. That's the #1 team in the state, all classes, and that adds a little pressure. You have pressure to perform, and these young ladies are able to step up and take care of business. So they demonstrated, both boys and girls demonstrated a great deal of character, discipline. They sacrifice a lot. You know, there's a pretty good correlation between how much you put into something and how much you get out of it. And my expectations for these youngsters is, you know, they're here at 5:45 every morning, and we're leaving around 6 o'clock every evening. Saturday's race day, but Sunday morning they're getting a long run in, and those are the things that are required if you want to compete at a high level. And they do it day in and day out, never complain. I was interviewed a number of times this season, and one of the questions is, what was it like to coach a team like this? And it's easy to answer because Coach Boyd and I are sitting in the coach's office at 5:45, and I hear them coming in, and they're singing, and they're laughing, and they're having fun. And who would not want to be a part of that? It's I've coached a lot of girls' teams, and we spend a lot of time together. And when you can have a group of girls, especially, spend that much time together and get along, it's pretty rare. So I do count my blessings. I don't know that I have anything to do with that, but they tolerate each other's differences, and they respect each other's abilities and talents and differences for that matter. And it's a unique chemistry when combined, made us stronger than its parts, and a privilege to be able to work with them on a daily basis. I've been fortunate in my career to have some outstanding athletes run for me, and this is probably the most rewarding season I've had. So, that being said, a couple more things I want to point out. We as coaches, when we talk about our athletes, oftentimes we say, you know, they have a lot of potential. And so the question I pose is, how do you reach that potential? And I'm going to put somebody on the spot, Maya, when she ran in middle school. Now, without using too strong a word, how would you describe your running as a middle school girl? So what she's saying is she was pretty bad. Now, what was the turning point for you to make you an all-state runner? Well, how did that happen? So you went to work, you decided, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I want to be good at it. And so my point here is, if I say you have some potential and you want to capitalize on that potential, you go to work. The other thing is the fear factor. You know, you hear me talking about my expectations, and a lot of kids are afraid to throw themselves into the unknown. Oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. So I'm going to put somebody else on the spot, Maggie. We were after Maggie for quite a while to get her to run for us, and I don't know what the turning point was for her. Coach Boyd has a way with words, I guess. But about the first week of school, she said, "Yeah, I'll do it." So you were afraid, right? Was it as bad as you anticipated? So it was. And yet she's still here. So did you find out some things about yourself? You're capable of more than you think you are. And were the sacrifices worth it? And I want all you athletes to apply that to your life. You know, if you sacrifice and you work hard at things, good things can happen. And if you apply those things to all facets of your life, you'll be successful. Okay? So, I'll start with the athletes, and I'm going to start with Dylan Burr. Dylan's a freshman. He ran in middle school, and so he was somewhat familiar with the program. But as often happens with freshmen, they don't think that I really want them to run as much as I do. So he started the season after a summer of not quite enough running. I hope there was a lesson learned there. Anyway, his first meet of the season was at Jefferson Barracks. He ran a pretty respectable time there, 20:56. I better put my glasses on now because I have to read this. Not making it up anymore. By the time we raced that course a second time, which was the Hancock meet, Dylan had suffered from an IVT band strain, which happens sometimes when you get after it too hard, too soon. Anyway, that took its toll on his training. And by the time he ran Hancock, he'd added nearly 2 minutes in time to his Jefferson Barracks course race. He spent some time on a bike. He had some limited running. And towards the end of the season, his leg was feeling better. He did run the district meet at Jefferson Barracks again. This time his time was 21:19. And I say this, Dylan, and I want you to hear it because you do possess some real potential. But in order to harness that, you're going to have to do some more running. Freshman Skylar Ogden. AKA Patriot. All right, that's enough of that. You're stealing my show, Jack. All right, I don't know when Skylar decided to run. We were after him quite a bit in the spring. I'm not doing that. No way. But here he is.
I don't sound like that.
He sounds just like, I don't sound like that. Anyway, his first race of the season also at Jefferson Barracks, he went 19:50. He ran in the varsity division so he could get back and join the marching band for our first home football game. That can be a little intimidating for a freshman. Running varsity, your first meet in high school. But he jumped right in. He also ended his season at Jefferson Barracks. He ran 18:50, a full minute improvement from the beginning of the season to the end. He placed 28th in the strongest district in the state. I'm going to go ahead and say it is. Historically, it has been. I don't see it changing. Skylar, too, has a lot of potential as a runner. A little more dedication. I look forward to harnessing his potentials. Freshman Nathaniel Ogden. It's Bow Tie Wednesday. Also known as Augie. Now this dude can dance. Don't show us. No. You just take my word for it. He's a dancer. Probably better at that than running, but more entertaining anyway. He did a bit more running this summer. He joined us at the Joe Bill Dixon Wilderness Running Camp. What was the highlight? The highlight of the camp.
Half mile.
Yeah. So singing and dancing at the talent show. Anyway, like most freshmen, he didn't know exactly how much running I expected of him. But I will say this, all the kids on the team were here for every morning practice unless they had an appointment. And believe me, 5:45 comes pretty early, especially when it's 5:45. So kudos to you for making to all the morning practices. Nathan started the season running at Jefferson Barracks like his teammates. He ran 19:11. He finished the season running there as well. He ran 18:27. He placed 24th as a freshman in District 1. That's a mouthful. Like his brother, with a little more running, some physical growth, a bit more discipline. He's going to be an all-stater, no doubt in my mind. Freshman Ben Nager. Hey, where's your buddy? Ben has to bring his monkey with him.
I gotta read his slate.
He is a monkey. He doesn't eat one.
All right. Ben may be the toughest freshman boy I've ever coached. He did the work this summer. He came into the season ready to run down his dream. However, as often happens, there's a few setbacks. What was wrong with your foot? His foot had him hobbled for some time. I don't know. He was on a bike for a while. So I tell him, Ben, if you're going to ride a bike, you're going to have to go hard. If you want to get anything out of it, you're going to have to go hard. So I come in on a Friday afternoon, and there's Ben looking like he'd had a wreck. Coach, I had a wreck. You didn't hurt my bike, did you? He did. Anyway, he's riding about as fast as he can go down Creek Road, and there's the girls running. And Ben, you remember how you want to remember it. I'll remember how it happened. So he's riding like heck, and there's the girls distracting him. And he's riding, and oh, there's a turn. Oh, I missed the turn. And off in the ditch and over the handlebars, into the freshly picked bean field is Ben. Freshman.
What do you have against freshmen?
He bounced back. His foot got better. He's better at running anyway. He had a great season. He wound up 5th at district, all district. Earned him a trip to the state meet. When we leave for the state meet, I asked them to dress up. So he asked me the day before, now, Coach, are we supposed to dress up tomorrow? And I said, yeah, and then we'll change and put the black shirt on. And so he comes in Friday morning in his black shirt, no tie. Ben, well, I thought you said, no, that's not what I said, Ben. So his punishment, everywhere he went the state weekend, he had to take this monkey with him. Slept with him. He had a monkey on his back. And I need to thank Mrs. Newman for that. She sent a great big bag of bananas and that monkey. And we got a lot of use out of it. Anyway, apparently he now resides in Ben's locker. Ben became the first freshman in school history to earn all-state honors as a freshman. He placed 6th. He ran the second fastest time of any freshman in the state at the state course this past Saturday. He's a phenomenal young man. He's going to be a great runner. I look forward to seeing his progress. Maggie, you're next. Oh, Magdalena. So, what did Coach Boyd say to get you to come out? Just kind of happened. Well, we kind of eased her into it the best we could. She wasn't ready for the first meet of the season, but she did run Forest Park, which is pretty much a pancake course. She ran 22:13. Then we raced the state course on the Friday of homecoming week, and she went 22:37. A week later at the conference meet, which is held at Potosi, a pretty challenging course. By then, Maggie was starting to figure out this whole racing thing. She was in pretty good shape. She went 21:37 there, and she placed 15th overall. But again, she had a little setback. IT band started acting up. It slowed her progress. Fast forward to last weekend, and she's running to the state meet. She runs 1,000 meters with a shoe on, and then she kicks it off. Anyway, long story short, she ran 4,000 meters without a shoe, and she still ran her fastest time of the season, 21:31. So next season, she's running barefoot. She's a pretty competitive young lady. Her competitive nature, her quick feet, her relaxed running form give a pretty good hint of a successful senior season. Sophomore Nicole Upchurch. Nicole's going to be a little tougher to talk about because she's a young lady that did everything I asked her to do. She followed my plan to the letter, did all the stretching, did everything we asked, and yet you can see she's wearing a cast. Sometimes in athletics, you know, things happen and we can't prevent it or foresee it. And she suffered what we think is a stress fracture in one of the bones in her feet on a Friday shakeout run before a meet, and it pretty much sidelined her. She was really running. I asked her about her foot. You know, she hadn't been feeling anything. A lot of times with those stress fractures, you feel something as an indication maybe it's coming up, and it didn't happen that way. As I said, I don't understand why things happen like this. Sometimes I think God just tests our character, and I will say this, that she's been a trooper about it, and she's passing the test. I look forward to her getting that off and spending some time in the pool and on a bike, and then get back on the road. She too has a bright future. She's a hard worker. She was there. And top-notch young lady. Junior Blake Engel. Blake started his season much like he did the last couple. He wasn't in quite as good a shape as he should have been. However, he came out of track, so he hadn't lost completely everything. His fitness improved pretty quickly. His dedication was real impressive this season. He and his cousin were there every morning. He started the season running 21:11. He ended the season running 20:10 on the same course. He had a minute of improvement. And I've talked with Blake many times about this, but I'm going to say it again. Blake, if you get serious about this, you can be good at it. Junior Tristan Ponder, I don't today, so he wasn't going to be. Amy had a fantastic season. She had the opportunity to run the state meet last year. She placed, what was it, 56th? Which is the advantage of that. When you get up there, you know what to expect. So I felt pretty good when we pulled up onto the state course, especially the third time, that Amy was going to be pretty confident. As the season progressed, I got to watch her confidence grow. She earned all conference honors at Potosi. She placed 4th. She earned all district honors at Jefferson Barracks. She placed 8th. And around the last 2 weeks of the season, she started having some calf issues. I'm not sure exactly what they are. We've got 2 young ladies that have similar issues with their calves. It deterred her training a little bit, and I think it did play a role in her confidence. Still, she fought. She earned all-state honors this past Saturday. She was 25th, and that sealed the deal for the team. Amy's best years of running are in front of her. She has a bright future indeed. I see her becoming more confident every run and every race, and she is a key member of this team. sophomore Mallory Kohler. Mallory had a great track season and a pretty good summer, but as the summer ended and the season, and we transitioned into the season, she had some calf issues too. I'm not sure exactly what it was. I think we found some stretching things that would alleviate it a little bit. Coach Warner going to be a licensed masseuse pretty soon. He's done a lot of massaging on these young ladies, trying to keep things loosened up. Anyway, by the time we got into racing, the frustration had started to fade a little bit, and she was ready to start racing. Mallory, she earned all conference honors. She placed third at the conference meet. Then she earned all district honors by placing fourth. Should I talk about the problem?
Yes.
And she earned all state honors as well. She placed seventh. She's a tough runner. Probably the best form on the team. She just looks strong, powerful. She's fast. And her best years are in front of her, too. She's going to get stronger. She's going to grow a little bit, and watch out. Sophomore Maya German. Not very good as a middle school student. This past spring, she earned 2 all-state medals at the state track meet in the mile and the 2 mile. Her freshman campaign at the state cross-country meet earned her 18th place. So she went from rags to riches in a very short time. Her summer training went well. At one point, I got a picture of her wearing a bonnet, holding a trophy. She ran some race in Hannibal and won it. So after a great summer training, she was poised for a super fall, and she did not disappoint. She was top 8. She was in the top 5. She was ranked this season by mile split. District meet behind her teammate, a strong Jamie Kempfer from Festus. And this past weekend, she placed 4th at the state meet. Like the rest of the sophomores, Maya too joins her teammates as one of the best runners in the state, with a great future in front of her. Sophomore Taylor Warner. Where do you start? I don't know, where should I start? She likes to be called Thunder Thighs. She's a pretty good artist. And despite all the success that she's had, she's a regular kid. She doesn't let it go to her head, and she's humble about it, and that's what impresses me most about Taylor. We get to work with her every day, and sometimes it's, as I runners in Class 3 in the state, and she's going stride for stride with them in the 400s. And Coach Boyd's got to drop out after 12 so he doesn't lose to her. She's tough. Every course she ran this past season, she set a new course record, and that's a mouthful. She astounded the running world by running a blazing fast time at Forest Park, 16:47, and that would be a dandy time for a boy. She won conference in 17:14. She won districts in 17:56. She set a new state record on the state course of 17:31. She smashed the old record by 20 seconds. She's a fierce competitor, but she's equally humble. This weekend, Taylor and 4 of her teammates journeyed to Indiana to compete in the Nike Midwest Regional. Her postseason racing will keep her busy for the next month or so, and I feel certain Taylor's best races this fall. Andy, come on up. I'll at the state track meet. Andy brought a great summer training and senior leadership to a young team in much need of that on the first day of practice. Andy's season was solid but plagued with slight ups and downs. Neither one of us expected. Andy won the conference meet. He placed second at districts. And we're poised for a great weekend. You know, last year he placed second at the state meet, and the senior that beat him had graduated. So, you know, we're looking pretty good. And God had different plans. He suffered a sinus infection. I don't know when it came on. I didn't know he was suffering Friday, but I found out about it Saturday morning. But still, he earned all-state honors. He placed 12th, which is a credit to his fitness, his tenacity, and his desire. When you can't breathe, it's tough to run. And he's a great competitor with outstanding training ethics. He's been rewarded with all-state honors, been named twice to KTJJ's Dream Team, and he's got 1 season left. I'll go on record predicting the best is yet to come. More. Nicknames for these kids that are probably not very politically correct, but her dad gave her that one. So, and if you saw what the gift was, hey, wait, go get that gift. Show that off. Now, pull it out. So we're riding back from the state meet, and she's like a ground squirrel getting ready for winter. She is packing it away, and she giggles and she says, well, I told her, I said, Shelby, shovel and a pitchfork. I'm one of the few coaches here that has the opportunity to coach kids for 6 years. I get them in the 7th grade, and Shelby started when she was in 7th grade, and to coach Shelby for 6 years, a labor of love. This season, Shelby didn't quite hit on all cylinders. Still, she earned all conference honors. She placed 5th. She earned all district honors. She placed 14th. And this past weekend, she broke out of her funk. She earned all state, placing 18th, not 19th, 18th. In the process, she became the first runner in school history to earn 4 all-state medals in cross country. This season, Shelby brought her quiet, lead-by-example demeanor to the team, and she is quiet for the most part. Her work ethic, her desire, her dedication, and her enthusiasm rubbed off on her teammates and helped set the tone for team chemistry that's rare to find on a group of girls that spends this much time together. Shelby's got 1 season to go. I'm hoping she's looking forward to it as much as I am. Senior Shelby Warner. We also had a couple managers. I would also be remiss if I don't mention those young ladies. somehow they were both talked into running next year, so we'll be on the hunt for managers. Watch out, we'll steal managers if we can. Jess Boyer, I don't think Jess is here, but she did a great job with us. They show up when we have quality days, write all this stuff down. And Megan Klein, she helped out a great deal as well. So this is the 2013 Dragon Cross Country team. Stay up here. We've got a few awards to give out as well. These are voted on by the team. Boys team leader. And you guys will be getting your plaques, next week or something. We just voted on this, last couple days. Boys team leader this year's Andy Moore. Boys most improved runner, Nathaniel Ogden. No surprise here, girls team leader Shelby Warner. Go ahead.
Girls team most improved, Maggie Fleeg. And the most spirited runner, girl or boy, Taylor Werner. That's it, guys. Thank you.
All right, congratulations once again, cross country, on not only a fantastic season, but just a remarkable, record-breaking, time after time after time, undefeated season. So congratulations on that. Okay, volleyball seniors, I got caught up in a moment earlier. Did you guys still want to come up, and you just want to wait until afterward? Okay, all right, sorry about that. Sorry. Okay, and last but certainly not least is our softball coaches. We're going to start here with Coach McDaniel. He's going to come up, and then right after him, we'll do Coach Kreitler. Did we get through all softball season without a rain out this year? Yeah. That'll never happen again, I guarantee it. But somehow we managed to get through all softball season without a rain out. It waited until the end of the football season to start raining all the time, but that was a good thing. We got through all season without a rain out, and it was just a beautiful season, not only weather but all together. So, Coach McDaniel, come on up and get us started with softball.
All right, first of all, I'd like to kind of congratulate the cross-country team on their success this year in another state championship, and I think that Coach Jett really hit things on the head. I think not just for his sport, but I think a lot of sports, and not just athletics, but academics as well. I think when you have a mutual respect for one another and dedication toward a goal, and you really commit yourself to that goal, good things will happen. And some of those things that, the bickering between teammates, it's another type of family that they have, and sometimes those things, tend to work out. And I think that a famous phrase that really applies to it is that it's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't, everyone would do it. So, like I said, I commend you guys on everything that you did, and all athletes up here as well. Also, one other thing I'd really like to point out too, congratulate Coach Drum on his retirement. And I think one photo that I really wish I would have seen in there was the photo that I think was passed around on Facebook a little bit of one of their last home games against Valley. And the reason why I say that is because I think that the passion and enthusiasm that he showed probably in his first few years was very evident in your 32nd year? 33rd year, sorry. And if you guys didn't see it, there was a pose where a fist went up in the air like this, and the look on his face and his body language was absolutely priceless. You could see the girls celebrating in the foreground, and he was in the background sharing their victory with them. So I hope that I have as much enthusiasm and passion after 33 years as what he does as well. On to our season. The JV girls this year, we had a record of 7-8. We finished third place in a JV tournament at the end of the season out at Farmington this year. You know, the season didn't start out necessarily all that great, and I think that one of the contributing factors that we have in softball is a lot of these girls don't start playing fast pitch until they get to be freshmen. Well, nowadays there's a lot of youth leagues that are going on, and the sport, along with all of other sports, have become much more competitive. And like Coach Strum alluded to earlier too, not that we necessarily like it, but it has become pretty much a year-round commitment. And, you know, I compare it to with these girls at the beginning of the season. It's like you guys have never been in a swimming pool before, and instead of easing down those steps in the shallow end where it's 3 feet, you decide to go to the deep end and you jump straight off the high dive. That's what it's like whenever you guys are going from the youth leagues that they've been playing in to fast pitch softball in high school. So they have a lot of stuff to learn. But I really think these girls picked it up. We had a lot of very smart girls with a really good head on their shoulders. And one of the things I can say that too is I see people doing homework as well. So, you know, not only do they commit themselves to, you know, trying to learn softball, but trying, you know, late nights on the bus, flashlights on their cell phones, trying to get homework done, all that sort of thing as well. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce our JV softball girls this year. You can hold your applause to the end so they all get up here. Rochelle Apt, Michaela Bader, Caitlin Bloom, Allison Bova, Kelsey Karen, Madison DeRouche, Claire Fisher, Stephanie Graham, Jordan Hain, Danielle Kemper, Hannah Kreitler, Kira Langley, Brooke Martin, Katie Glassy, Adrian, as I mentioned earlier, it takes more than picking it up, it takes more than picking up a ball to have any kind of continued success. Season, they can grow both as individual players and as team. Some of them are going to be counted on to fill some pretty important shoes next year on the varsity level. And really the one thing I want to leave you girls with is, as I always leave things, I'll say that hard work always beats talent when that talent fails to work hard. So no matter if you guys have, you know, a lot of God-given talent and everything, if you dedicate yourselves, all right, and you work any small talent that you have, you can overcome just about any obstacle. And like I said, there's a lot of untapped potential up here with you girls and not necessarily playing a lot of competitive softball beforehand. So I appreciate everything you've given me this season, learned a lot from you, just as hopefully you've learned from me. And one last thing I'll say is, getting in the weight room and lifting weights will not make you look like a dude, okay? All right, thank you. Your 2013 softball team, JV.
Okay, good news and bad news. Good news is I'm the last coach to speak tonight. Bad news is you got to listen to me. First, I want to take care of some thank yous. First of all, my wife, Mary Kay, for watching kids, 5 kids full-time for 2.5 months while I coach softball, and she's still able to give me a smile whenever I come home late at night. I'd like to thank Mr. Nix here for everything he does for us coaches throughout the year. The coaching staff, Coach McDaniel, Coach Kettinger that's not here tonight, those 3 coaches that are paid coaches. You know, we share the same coaching philosophy, and it makes it really easy to, you know, teach the message that we want to explain to the ladies about how to play the game. Also, Coach Keeker, who volunteered his time to come up during games, keep score for us, and to help us out in practices a lot. That made it really nice. We could really break down into a lot of instructional groups when we have that many people there, and I really appreciate it. Also, an extra thank you to Eric Cook. He's a parent, and he also volunteered his time too. I know Eric's here, but he volunteered his time to come up during practices, came to games, kept score when Coach Keeker wasn't around. And we have that many coaches there. Like I said, we can, with the amount of girls that we have playing in our sport, it just makes it a lot easier for us to explain the game. I'd like to thank Mike Boyd with the St. John Herald, Frank Kirschmer with Prepcast for following us and broadcasting several of our games this year for the first time. Radio stations, KBZD, KTJJ, B104, The Daily Journal, Matt King, Matt Jury for updating the softball website throughout the year, Eric Cook again and Tammy Berry for coaching the Merchant team over the summer to get the girls ready in the fall. Some parents, Cheryl Martin, Julie Bovin, Nikki Jenkins, Mrs. Yates, Mrs. Porter, and I know there's probably other parents that I'm missing that helped out with the concession stands during the year. The Spirit crowd who comes and support us for some of our home games like they do with every sport to just support our school athletes. I think that's just awesome. And the parents for not only supporting the team, but your daughters as well throughout the season. Now about our season, like many of the coaches said, it's a whole year season to start off with. We start in January, February, and March after school doing some agility workouts, lifting weights, playing a little catch, getting our arms moving. Then we do some more practices in the spring, get ready for summer ball out of Park Hills to play in a competitive league. And then we get ready for the season that starts in the fall. We finished the season 17 and 15. At the beginning of the season, we talked about the three aspects of the game, hitting, fielding, and pitching, that we need to have to be competitive this year. And we struggled to play those three aspects every game, it seemed like. Whenever we would have a good defense and good pitching, then our hitting wasn't really there. We'd hit the ball really well in one game, pitch the ball really well, but maybe our defense had a little hiccups that lost us the game. So our season kind of was like that it was just hard for us to play those three aspects of the game up to our potential. However, we did play, pretty close games and played close to our potential. In the Cape Notre Dame tournament, we played two, and we had 2 wins, 2 losses. We took second place in the Potosi tournament, going 2-1 and beating the good Salem team 16-5 in 5 innings. It seems like we just have it for that team every year. They're a good team that's out in the west side of the state, and they come in and think they can just run over teams, and we get to them and we just take care of them. We just put it to them in the first inning, and they lay down on us. But that was a really good game. We seemed to play everyone tough. I mean, we played conference champs Central, really tough both games. District foe Festus, we played in a really close game. And one will look at it as it was a down year for softball, but I don't see it that way. I feel we had a lot of good instruction time and to teach the game to a young team, and I think that's going to set things up for a bright future. I'd like to introduce the varsity team, starting with the freshmen. Angie Gretzmacher. She was our manager this year. I think she's unable to attend, but she was our manager this year. As I look at all the other sports, cross country, volleyball, the amount of managers that they may have, and we only have one for 30 girls. It's we kind of take care of things ourselves, I guess. So Adrian Mueller. Adria played most of any other player on our team. She had what I'll mention a couple of times here is she's one of the double duty girls. She played some JV. She pitched almost every JV game, and she stayed around for varsity games. She courtesy ran for us this year. She stole 3 bases and scored 2 runs, and she did play some outfield too. She ended up getting a hit for us too on the varsity level, and we really like what Adria can do. Now for the sophomores, Amber Beckett. Amber played left and right field this year. She made some amazing running catches on some fly balls. A couple of the catches she made in the Cape Notre Dame tournament, them were just phenomenal. She can really track down a ball. Offensively, Amber scored 10 times, stole 3 bases, and she did lead our team in sacrifice bunts with 5. Danielle Kemper. Danielle's another double duty girl, plays some JV. She did get in 3 games this year, batted 3 times. She hit the ball really hard, just right at people. She did score 1 run. She works really hard in practices and has really grown as a player. Kelsey Karen. Kelsey played some first base early in the year. She had a double and an RBI for us this year. She's really improved as a freshman, and we hope to see her grow and continue as a player. Michaela Bader. Michaela played some second base, but mostly she was used to designated hit this year. She batted .318 with 7 hits, 4 RBIs, 3 runs scored. She's got a lot of potential to be a really good player. She can run, she can throw, she can hit. She just has to want to work at it and to be that complete player that I know is there. Hopefully she can do that and really help us out in the next couple of years. Megan Hook. Megan was our main pitcher this year. We started Megan out slow, pitching her every other game, but as the season went on, it was apparent that we just needed her to pitch a lot more than that, and she ended up pitching 18 games. That's 94 innings pitched. She had 36 strikeouts, had 6 of her 7 wins. Offensively, she batted .207 with 6 hits and 4 RBIs, and we hope that she continues to work hard for next year and develop some more pitching. Ashley Viox. Ashley moved to shortstop this year and made some really nice plays. A lot of times the opposing coaches are always wanting to know about her. She is like, they would be like, that 21, that's the Viox, right? Is she the last one? Yeah, okay. So the opposing coaches always want to know a little bit about her. She did lead the team in many offensive categories this year and pitched in 3 games and got a win for us in the Cape Notre Dame tournament. We'll talk a little bit more about Ashley later. Now the juniors, Hannah App. Hannah played some first base, and she was also the designated hitter when she was healthy. She was one of the hottest hitters at the beginning of the year, but then she rolled her ankle in practice and took some time off. I don't think it really ever healed that well. She got to do some more hitting, kind of tweaked it, rounding first base a little bit. So, you know, she did bat .333. She had an RBI, and we just hope that the ankle heals so you can have a good senior season. Olivia Schneier. Crystal Nagger. Kara Grass. Kara caught a couple games this year and was the designated player in some games too this year. She batted .208 with 5 RBIs and scored 6 times. Kara's biggest strength is her batting. I really like her approach to hitting and how she follows through to hit the ball, and hopefully she will continue to work on the offseason and become the clutch hitter that we need for her next year. Adrienne Weeberry. Weebs was our catcher this year. She had to learn that position fast this year, and she did a really nice job. She showed progress in blocking and framing pitch balls as well as throwing down on base runners stealing second. She did throw out 5 base runners trying to steal. Offensively, she hit the ball well. She batted .286 with 2 RBIs, and we hope after a year behind the plate, she soaked in a lot of the catching info that would make her a better player next year. Lauren Kuchta. Lauren was her second baseman this year. She also had some nice plays defensively. She batted .256 with 6 RBIs and 6 runs scored, and was tied for third on the team with 4 stolen bases. If you see Lauren around, ask her about doing the Kuchta throw sometime. It's pretty impressive. Reagan Zerwig. Reagan played third base this year. Third base is called the hot corner. Balls are hit really hard. You got to be on your toes all the time playing that position. She anchored down really well and did a really good job for us. Offensively, Reagan's numbers were down, but that's because the other team pitched her really hard. And coming from a season last year where she set the school record in home runs, that gets out. And coaches knew about her. They pitched her really tough. You know, even with that, she still batted .317. She tied for first on the team with RBIs with 12. She led the team in doubles with 8 and had a home run. She was second on the team with 17 runs scored. Charlie played left, right field, as well as the designated hitter this year. Charlie's a hard worker and takes a lot of St. John pride practicing and in games. She too suffered a hamstring injury that limited her duty late in the season. At the beginning of the season, Charlie was one of our most dependable hitters. She always seemed to take good quality at bats and put the ball in play. Charlie had 9 hits, 7 RBIs, scored 6 times, and she led the team in an interesting category. She led the team in the reaching on base by errors with 9. Although that stat did not help her batting average, but it did help her on base percentage, which was with a .411. She really came. She was out on both of those plays, but my gosh, she hit the ball hard. 15 singles, tied for first on the team. .328 batting. Paige was her first baseman this year again, and she played very well. She pitched in 7 games this year, too. She recorded 6 strikeouts. Offensively, Paige had a solid year. She led the team in singles with 19, second on the team with 10 RBIs, 9 runs scored, 4 stolen bases, and second on the team with a .362 batting average. She had some big hits for us this year, too. 2-run RBI single that led to a big inning in Fredericktown that got us the win, and she had the walk-off hit against Saxony Lutheran at home. She is also voted all-conference. The first award came in and worked hard during the off season to work. She did a really nice job playing a position this year, and It's an award to a player that is the greatest hustle on the bases, on the field, whether in The next award is strictly based on offensive stats, the best offensive player. This person led our team in many offensive categories, at bats with 67, 25 hits, 2 triples, 12 RBIs, 4 home runs, 21 runs scored, 373 batting average, 17 stolen bases. She's voted all conference for the 2nd year in a row and now has won this award 2 years in a row. This year's offensive player is Ashley Viox. Award is the MVP award, again voted on by the players, and we had another tie this year again. Again, both led our team. They had very fine seasons. They both were all conference players. This year's MVPs are Ashley Viox and Paige Porter.
Okay, I always give the coaches the opportunity to get all the thank yous out of the way, and I try to hit anybody that they miss, which usually is not much. I want to thank Brian Kreider and his custodial staff. They're the ones who clean up after all the games, and they'll be here to clean up after this banquet as well. They do a good job after everybody's left the building. I want to thank my wife, Amy, for putting up with me being gone so much. I want to thank Mr. Haney and Mr. Mercer for helping just with everything that I do with my job. We're a pretty good team, and they set the standard and set the bar for me. So lots of people that I'm sure that I forgot, but you know, that's pretty well the gist of it. A couple things before we go here, guys. Is Mike Boyd here for pictures of the award winners? Usually he is. Not tonight. Okay, we'll probably pull you out of advisory, take pictures for the paper at a different time. 50-50. If you got a 50-50 ticket, take that sucker out of your pocket. For $81 tonight, pretty good winning tonight. And while I'm drawing this ticket out, our 50-50 and our raffle for the banners, all that money goes to a scholarship, one for one boy athlete, one for girl athlete, and we're usually able to give a pretty good scholarship for this. So. Please bring your ticket up to the front with you if you have this. 410-056. 410-056. If you've got that one, bring it up there. Really?
Hey, you donated.
Okay, good deal. Thank you, Coach Keeker. He's donated back to the Sports Boosters. Thank you. Okay, for the volleyball banner, which is out in the commons there, as you guys could see, and just take that with you if you are the winner of that tonight, okay? The winner of the volleyball, Kara Inman. Grab that on your way out, Kara. The softball, oh, hopefully I don't pull a volleyball name now. The winner of the softball banner, which is also out in the commons tonight, Lauren Kuchta. And the winner of the cross-country banner, which you'll have to get later because one of our head coaches has not gotten his pictures taken. Rob something? Is that Fleeg? Rob Fleeg, take the banner home and work on your handwriting, please. Sorry, Rob, I had to say that. Rob, actually, before you leave tonight, let me have your phone number so that I can give you a call when that banner does come in, all right? Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Safe travel home.